Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we're discussing Loyalist Space Marine chapters who may have a dark legacy of Traitor Geneseed, and perhaps the one line the High Lords have never been willing to cross. General spoiler warning to begin, as we will be discussing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, the legacy of the Traitor Legions is always something that's fascinated many of us within the fanbase. These once paragons of virtue and loyalty, corrupted and tainted into evil. Maybe it's the sense of redemption, or the appeal of the mystery, but the theories on possible successor chapters from this legacy have always been a tantalizing aspect. Most recently, we've had the hints, or at least teases, that maybe, just maybe, Belisarius Cawl himself used Traitor Primarch Geneseed in some form or another within his new Ultima Founding chapters. Most notably, of course, the Sons of the Phoenix chapter, who, despite supposedly being Imperial Fist successors, not only have the name Sons of the Phoenix, but also adorn the Emperor's Children colours of purple and gold, just to add that little extra wink and a nod. I really hope we get a scene of Guilliman interacting or coming across them one day, because it's so on the nose, you just know he's got to have some kind of reaction. Just imagine the chapter master or captain removing his helm in greeting Guilliman, only to reveal long flowing silver white hair and violet eyes. It's actually quite an interesting thought on how Guilliman would act if he ever did find out. I might have to put a little bit more thought into the subject and discuss it later in the week, because it's definitely a fun aspect to think about. However, for today, the premise of Traitor founded chapters is actually something that's been around for quite a while, with many redacted, erased or lost chapter records just fueling speculation over the years, and in fact over the decades. So it does beg the question, is it all just essentially an open secret within the High Lords of Terror and the Administratum? Or is the fault just so inconceivable it's not even considered by those who encounter these secrets? Because really, the more you look, the more you find. Take the infamous Minotaurs chapter for example. Records of their founding is nowhere to be found, though best speculation puts them as a possible cursed 21st founding chapter, founded explicitly for the use of the High Lords of Terror themselves. Their Geneseed is particularly interesting, as fragmentary reports originally believed it to be chimeric, essentially meaning from various parts. Combine this with there were many reports of the chapter being akin to berserkers. This has led to speculation of World Eater influence. However, these reports have largely petered out, and since then their traits have been displayed as undoubtable Iron Warrior likeness. Brooding and obsessive on their defense and security protocols, to nigh on paranoia, a tendency for attrition and siege warfare, combined with a hatred for Imperial Fists. I mean, that sounds like Sons of Perturabo to me. If you didn't know we were talking about the Minotaurs chapter, you would have thought I just described the Iron Warriors. Moving on, perhaps the most famous of the mystery successor chapters is the Blood Ravens. The chapter themselves know nothing of their founding, which in itself is mysterious enough. Yet the chapter has far more librarians than one might expect for a standard codex chapter. If we combine this with the chapter also displaying a constant desire and search for acquiring knowledge, to such an extent the Inquisition have taken notice, I think we all know which line that resembles. A lust for acquiring knowledge, a strong and powerful psychic trait. I think we all know Sons of Magnus when we see them. Another really interesting chapter is The Exorcists, recorded as sons of Rogaldorn, but heavily rumoured to be descended from the Grey Knights themselves. I myself see undoubtable ties to the Sons of Lorgar. The chapter proven to have a particular affinity for demonic possession, having their marines be possessed by a demon for 12 hours before attempting to cast it out, and having a penchant for psychic power within their ranks. That all screams much more word bearers than it does Grey Knights to me. I don't care what stories we have floating out there. And well, really with this you can go on and on. Like I said, the more you look, the more you may find. However, there's one legion in particular, no matter how hard you look, you just won't find any particular ties or even the remotest teases to. And that would be the Lunar Wolves, the Sons of Horus. So if the High Lords have indeed been using Traitor Geneseed over the centuries, which it certainly appears they have, is the one line even they feared to cross, using the Geneseed of the arch-traitor himself, Horus Lupercal. It's a curious thought that there's one line they won't cross, and it begs the question why. If they have been founding chapters in secret from all of the traitor Primarch's Geneseed, why then stop at Horus Lupercal? Why do we not see the clear signs of the Sons of Horus scattered amongst the chapters? Is it merely because Horus is the literal symbol of the heresy? The man who ultimately confined the Emperor to the Golden Throne? Maybe so. But if it's a secret you're redacting, erasing the records of being founded, then what's the fear? Perhaps it's maybe a more practical sense that any founding of Horus will most certainly end up being traitor. Any chapter they found will undoubtedly turn from the Emperor's light, because that is Horus's legacy. So why then waste the time? Well, quite possibly. But then would a single chapter really matter in the grand scheme of things? And you've worked with other traitor seed after all. So is the legacy of Horus that much worse than his traitor brothers? Maybe so, because he is ultimately the one who inflicted the Emperor's wounds. So maybe at the end of the day, it's the Emperor himself they fear. In a spiritual sense at least. Because let's remember, this was many years before the Emperor displayed any signs of becoming awakened. So maybe in a spiritual sense that giving life to the line of Horus would be a sacrilege too far. That continuing the legacy of Horus is something the God Emperor himself could never forgive. I doubt we'll ever know for sure, but while it may be a line the High Lords never crossed, I think I know a certain follower of the Omnissiah who is certainly confident enough to try it. Or should that be foolish enough? As always guys, what do you think? Have we seen clear signs of traitor seed within the chapters for many decades now? And if so, then why have the High Lords never tampered with the legacy of Horus Lupercal? Or maybe do you believe they have? And regardless of the High Lords, do you feel Belisarius Cawl would undoubtedly have tampered with the Sons of Horus legacy? As always guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.